Hey, this is Lance with 20-Sided Night. Today we're going over what is critical hits in Starfinder. Before we begin, I just want to remind you all to subscribe and drop a comment below to be entered into our monthly giveaways. Without being too extra about these beginning critical hits, they start on page 245 of the Starfinder core rulebook. And today we're just going to go over critical hits as they work in standard combat. The first step to a critical hit is rolling a natural 20 on the die. The attack automatically hits if you roll a natural 20, but they do fail if you roll a natural 1, just as a side note there. But if you roll that natural 20 and your attack roll total, including all your bonuses and whatnot, is above the KAC or EAC, it's also a critical hit. That's something that can be easily overlooked in a lot of games. I know I've overlooked it until maybe a while ago when I started putting this video together. Spells and touch attacks deal critical hits in the same way as weapon attacks do, so I'm just going to put them all under the same umbrella as attacks. On a critical hit, you roll your damage twice, and each time you add any modifiers, such as from abilities, weapon bonuses, etc. And then you add the weapon's critical bonus if there is one. Critical bonuses, these can be anything from the bleeding condition to burn. That's just on the weapon's critical section there for that. If the total of your attack is less than their armor class, but still is a natural 20, it hits, but it's not a critical. Just really keep that in mind. There are certain factors that can ignore a critical hit, such as incorporeal creatures like ghosts and banshees and whatnot. Those are immune to critical hits, and objects are also immune to critical hits. So if you're trying to, beat the shit out of Adele, depending on if you mean the singer or like a Dell computer, the Dell computer is not going to take critical hit damage, and you really shouldn't hit Adele. She's a wonderful singer, and I like Adele. But you are going to be able to land that bleeding condition if you do stab Adele with like your tactical knife or what have you. Broken weapons, they can't use their critical effects, but they still double their damage. So like if you have an Ifrit class flamethrower that has the burn condition or critical, and you roll that natural 20, or it's above their EAC, you do double the damage, but you do not add the burn condition. There are certain weapon functions, like how certain weapons have the automatic or boost function on them, that affect how a critical is done. You can read more about this on the core rulebook on page 180 through 181. Attacks made with weapons in the automatic mode cannot score critical hits. It's kind of a bummer, but you're still attacking a cone, you're still hitting more creatures, so it's sort of a trade-off there. Blast weapons, if you roll one or more critical hits, because you do roll multiple attacks with blast weapons, you apply the critical damage and effects only to the creatures that you're hitting that are affected by the blast itself. There's a whole list here. I'm not going to go through all of them. Boost weapons, they increase the weapon's damage, and it's multiplied on a critical hit. So if you're boosting a weapon, that's going to be affected by critical. Line weapons are kind of interesting because the critical hits, they only apply to the first target hit, and this damage is rolled separately. If multiple targets are equally close, say you have a 10-foot by 20-foot line weapon, you choose which one takes the effects of the critical, but both of them don't. Or if they're occupying the same space, both of them don't take the critical hit damage. Critical hit effects, they're on page 182 of the core rulebook. A lot of weapon fusions, like bleeding, can also cause critical hit effects. There are some things that can stop a critical hit, such as force fields that have the fortification ability. Those do have a chance of causing a critical hit to act as a normal hit. This ability also prevents the weapon that landed a critical hit deal its extra effects, such as if you do get a critical hit with your Ifrit class flamethrower, but somebody has, say, a force field with fortification, it's not going to deal its extra damage, and it's also not going to have the burn condition on it. On a side note, the coup de grace combat maneuver on page 248, it does always land a critical hit, and it comes with all the benefits attached to that. So the biggest things to take away when you're landing a critical hit, you do have to do more than just land a natural 20. Certain things like ghosts and objects, those are immune to critical hits, and there are forces that can stop it, such as force fields or things like that. I would probably say that if you're hiding behind cover, and say you're using a line weapon, and somebody's hiding behind cover, even if your line weapon blast destroys the cover and is a critical hit, I would still rule that as not dealing critical damage because it did hit the cover that whatever creature would have otherwise landed critical on first, would have been hurt, but that just makes sense to me. Again, thanks for watching 20 Sided Night. Remember, subscribe and drop a comment down below to be entered in a monthly giveaway, and have a good day.